Hi everyone, I'm going to be speaking from notes tonight. My name is Amy Tetweiler. I'm an attorney with Dane County. I'm an assistant corporation counsel, so I work here in the Dane County offices. My background includes environmental law. I have a master's degree in environmental studies from Madison. And so I have experience handling contaminated sites, and that's how I got involved in this particular project. Tonight I want to give you some background about what's happening at the airport. It's the start of information, and as I'll explain at the end, we are going to continue to find ways to engage with the public. At this point, I can tell you that in October of 2019, DNR notified 3 parties that they believe are responsible for the contamination in Starkweather Creek. Those parties are Dane County, the City of Madison, and the Air National Guard. Also in October of 2019, DNR notified Dane County that it was liable for PFAS levels detected in the Dane County Airport stormwater system. So right now, the suspected source of PFAS contamination in the area of the airport is the AFFF firefighting foam that Doug mentioned. The Dane County Airport, you should know, contracts with the Air National Guard for its firefighting services. Therefore, at this point in time, the county has no reason to believe that county employees have handled the AFFF foam. Also, with regard to some background that's helpful to know, the Federal Aviation Administration, commonly known as the FAA, actually requires the airport to use firefighting services to use the AFFF foam in emergencies and for training. The reason is because it's excellent at putting out fires, and at this point, it's the best way to save lives. That said, the FAA has set a 3-year deadline for the federal government to come up with a replacement for PFAS foam. So in other words, they're moving toward a firefighting foam that would be PFAS free. Right now, we're currently in year 2 of that 3-year deadline. Historically, the firefighting training occurred at the Truax Air National Guard base at the original airport. And at this point in time, Air National Guard has advised the county that it's no longer conducting training at the Truax field and has moved those training activities to the Volk field in Juneau County. Thus, at this point in time, the only discharge of PFAS firefighting foam we would expect at the airport would be in the event of an emergency, basically a fire. Now, turning back to the DNR directives, in the October notice, DNR set deadlines for the county and other responsible parties to take certain specific actions to proceed with the investigation of where the PFAS in Starkweather Creek is coming from. Dane County has met all of its deadlines. At this stage of the process, the county has hired a consultant, which is Mead and Hunt. And you should understand they have a very in-depth knowledge of the county stormwater system. They also have, they're following the PFAS developments at airports and remediations at a national level. So then in terms of what our deliverables are for DNR, we were required to, in December, to submit a work plan for our next steps. And the plan that Mead and Hunt submitted on behalf of Dane County includes further sampling of the airport stormwater system, the goal of which is to determine what the source of discharge coming into the stormwater system is. And then additional investigation into the historic airport operations that would be relevant to PFAS use. So we can do our best. This is like, a remediation process is always wisely has to start with an investigation. We have to know, knowing that we have it in a creek is step 1. Step 2 is to answer where is it coming from and how did it get there, basically. And with that goal in mind, you're going to look for, where where the amounts are highest, basically. It's a system of prioritizing where the risks are greatest. Now, since the consultants have submitted that report, as I mentioned, it was in December, we now have this new sampling results from DNR in Starkweather Creek, which came out in January 15th. So the county's consultant is now in the process of revising the work plan and to factor in this new information, the new data, into their investigation process. What I can tell you, and I'm sure frustrating to hear, but the process of an investigation has to occur in steps. So what will happen is at each step of the sampling, the consultants will be able to further define where the PFAS is located, and ultimately the goal is to identify where in the ground it's coming from. In other words, what's the source? Understanding that where the PFAS originates on the property is going to be an essential part to making wise decisions about how to remediate it going forward. The other thing I can tell you today is that the county has been working with the other responsible parties to install and update the signage that Doug spoke about, and provide fish advisories and then letters to impacted residents. In addition, we are in the process of developing a web page for the airport investigation process that will likely be linked to the public health website. That's in process. Also, now that we've got the planning underway, once we have the updated sampling plan, then at that point we'll definitely schedule an informational meeting, public informational meeting, to give you an update on what's happening. And I expect that the webpage will ultimately include all the reports that are submitted to DNR and some additional background information.
Okay. And do you have any idea of approximately when that meeting will be?
At this point, I would estimate about mid-March. What has to happen is our consultant has to submit the plan,
right,
and then DNR has to approve it, and then once we have a sense, and there might be some, in my experience, there tends to be a little bit of refining that happens, so
okay,
mid-March would be fair.
in March of 2020.
Correct,
right,
yes, yeah.
2 months, okay.
Right.
Good, so there'll be notifications about that and people can attend that. So,
definitely.
not to cut you off, but
That's okay.
you're down for time here. I want to get everybody in who wants to speak.
All right.
So,
Can I ask you a quick question?
yes, Supervisor Wetlick.
Thank you. So the reports that have been submitted to DNR need to be approved, so they're not a matter of record yet? I mean, are those publicly available?
They are.
Post them or? It's not like that was the intent, but it might not happen for a while, but people may be interested in seeing those sooner rather than later.
Sure. The reports that have been submitted to DNR at this point are publicly available through the DNR website. It's called the BRRTS, B-R-R-T-S. It's like Bureau of, someone could probably remember it. I didn't know it as BRRTS. But if you look up BRRTS on the DNR website, you'll see. And then there's the
ones that we submitted.
the ones we've submitted.
Okay.
What's the
Right.
project name? Then on the BARTs, you have to type in something.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
You can just look it up by PFAS and it'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah, and just for that, from that point of orientation, you're gonna have 3 bird sites that are gonna be relevant to your interest in the airport. There's gonna be, the Air National Guard has a bird site. I think Starkweather Creek has a bird site. That's the one that includes this, the county, the city, and Air National Guard. And then the third would be the Dane County stormwater system.
Okay,
That have a set of birds.
that sounds great. Good question. So just to move on.